Hello world, my name is Scott, or as I affectionately call myself, the bitter old queen, okay? I am not a therapist or a professional of any type. My comments and stories and anecdotes are anecdotal only, okay? And I have to apologize today, I look like death warmed over, but before I say anything though, I have to say that even though I start all my videos by saying, I'm a bitter old queen, I hope you realize it's a joke, okay? I live a very charmed life with my partner of 43 years, and we're still very much in love. Okay. And all I can say is, like, we are so happy. We joke about, this is our single white in the sky, because we're in this tiny little apartment up in the sky, and we love it. So, okay. I also have to say that New York was my sanctuary city here. When I came here, I was from the Midwest, a small town in Iowa, and I got here just in the nick of time. Okay. And I also got lucky right out of the gate because a week after I got here, I met my partner. And a month later, we went out on our first date, and we've been together ever since. So I was just one of those very, very lucky people. So over the years, though, you cannot believe how much my view has changed and how much better New York has gotten. New York was not a nice place when I got here in November of 1982. Okay, so, but after 40 years plus of living here, I'd like to share my commentary about the upcoming primary election here in New York City. I'm in District 12, which runs basically 14th Street to 96th Street, east and west sides. Okay, and I'm very disappointed with the crop of candidates we have, um, specifically because they're all corporate Dems and they are all in support of Israel at this time. So none of them are meeting the moment, as far as I'm concerned, for what I'd like to see from a candidate. And they're repeating history. This this thing has been going on for way too long. Let me give you I was in college in 1989, 1990, and I took a class. And in this class, they talked about the two-state solution. That was 35 years ago. Okay? I think we can stop this thing, okay, about the two-state solution. Okay? Um, I think that the first person, one candidate who will come out and say, I have rethought my position on Israel. I will not be voting for money for Israel, and I also will be voting for sanctions, is the person I will be voting for. Okay. Um, when it comes to the mailers, though, we're getting bombarded with all these mailers. So this is about the last week or 10 days worth of mailers that we've gotten in my thing. So I just wanted to go over them because it's so funny how they are. But until recently, Boris was winning in the mailers. Okay, and I had five pro from Boris and then one negative about Boris, uh, which came from the Bloomberg thing. And so it makes me realize he must be doing something right if Michael Bloomberg is not for this guy, if Michael Bloomberg is putting out attack ads against him. So then yesterday, Michael Lasher tied with he got a fifth place pro. And I also got my first negative ad for Lasher, which was funny and it didn't look good. So Lasher is also Bloomberg's chosen candidate. Okay. Then he's given him millions of dollars to finance his election. Okay, then the next ones, I got four for George Conway, which is so funny, the carpetbagger from DC. Okay. He's also too old. He's 62. I'm not voting for anyone over 45 anymore. Just the way I'm going to be. Then next, I only got two for Schlossberg, um, and but he has recently showed interest in reevaluating his Israel stance. Okay, so the jury's out on this one. The thing about all of these mailers, okay, there are no phone numbers on them, so you can't call anybody to ask a question. There are no email addresses even to email someone a question. Okay? On most of them, there's not even a website listed that you can go to for more information. Or if there is, or there might be a QR code, okay, that you can scan. Okay? But it's like they don't want to hear from us. I want to email. I would love to email them, but there is no email. So And the thing is, they don't want our questions. They have decided who's going to run and who you're going to vote for, and they don't want any questions from us. They want a damn thing from their voters. So I guess the only way I could ask any of these candidates is to go to one of their events, and so take time out of my instead of being able to just make a phone call and find out. All these ads too, they're full of platitudes, okay, but not a one of them mentions a peep about Israel. Not even the attack ads. Even the attack ads are too afraid to go after Israel. Okay? But I just have to say this, the young people out there, they are looking at us older people like we're monsters because we are. Okay? They are more than aware of how dangerous it is to be a child nowadays. You have to worry about getting shot in your school, and you have to worry about sexual abuse all the time. And when you see that there's no response from our government, you can have it right there for everyone to see, and nobody cares. And like I say, these young ones, they think we're ghouls. And you better hope they don't want revenge when we're all in the nursing home, okay, for not protecting them and doing the right thing, and them having to fight to get their countries back so we didn't steal them blind from everything that we. Anyway, uh, anyway, I still have faith in our country. After all this, I know we can right the ship, and I know we can do things better. Okay. Funny thing though, I looked at the League of Women Voters did a forum with the candidates, and a couple of them mentioned nuclear. Okay, which I almost chuckled out loud. I thought it was hysterical that you're mentioning nuclear at this time. Nuclear. Okay. Well, let me just tell you, anybody who doesn't know about nuclear, this is how nuclear goes, and you can look this up in every single power plant, nuclear power plant ever built. Okay, they'll say it'll take 5 years and $5 million. 15 years later, and 30 or $40 million, you finally get a plant. Okay, and then I don't even want to talk about getting the fuel there, what to do with the spent fuel, all this other stuff, the priesthood that we're going to have to get to babysit nuclear waste for the next couple 100,000 years. Oh, yeah, nuclear. We can throw up solar panels and wind turbines and have it done in no time for cheaper. To mention nuclear shows somebody is putting money in your pocket to say that, or at least that's the way it appears to me, because nuclear. Oy. Anyway. Maybe New York City, maybe we should buy the electric company here. California did that. LA did that. They bought their electric company and their rates hardly go up at all. Okay. And they have a very well managed electric company. Maybe we should do that here. This is a public good. Everybody needs electricity. Maybe we should own it. Okay. Imagine if we, imagine too, if we had electric cars, more electric cars, and we had championed the electric cars and we had championed renewable energy, we wouldn't care about the price of oil. It wouldn't mean anything to us. Okay. Also, we pump all this oil, but we can't even refine it because it's the wrong kind of oil for our refineries. We need to update and rebuild our refineries so we can refine our own oil. We wouldn't even need to care about what the rest of the world, how the rest of the world got their oil. Okay? But no, no, we have to keep things going. The fossil fuel industry does. Okay? If none of the candidates changes their mind though about Israel, I'm writing in my vote, and my vote is going to be for Israel dash Epstein dash Trump. Okay? Because I might as well vote for them directly if you're going to go and turn around and give money to the pedos and the warmongers. I'm just going to vote for them directly. Why vote for you at all? Okay? I'll vote for the first person who comes out and changes their mind. Okay? And promises no more aid to Israel and sanctions. Okay? I think that if you want to get reelected, I really do suggest that you change your mind or you will be a one-termer. There's no way. Every everything is changing, especially now with what people know, and you don't want to speak up about the Epstein files. You don't even want to mention Israel. You're reading the room wrong. And need to be done with this Gish Gallop stuff. When we go to these, don't as far as I'm concerned, Dems don't even engage with these people on these punditry shows. Tell them you will come and you will speak, and that's it. You won't have somebody there. who will either lie or obfuscate or mischaracterize every word out of your mouth, and then nobody's get the pundit usually will go on the opposite guy. Anyway, we need to be done with this. We need to treat this like you treat a narcissist. No contact. That's what you do. We need to go no contact with Republicans, okay? I think that in Congress, when we take back power, we need to bring back the dunce cap and the stool in the corner. And when one of these guys lies or does one of the stupid things they do, take a vote on the floor, put the guy in the corner on a stool with a dunce cap on. You want to take things back to the 50s? Let's do it then. Okay, senators and congressmen? Because we're going to need a lot of stools and a lot of dunce caps because there's a lot of liars in there and a lot of people that are in with the pedos. Okay. Right now, if I were in there and I was on one of these panels and you were, at one of these hearings trying to confirm one of these people, I wouldn't ask them a single question except one in the end. I would use my time to go on with the most noxious details and passages from the Epstein files. I would shame them. I would read aloud the names and the actions that were done to the innocent children in this country. And maybe we can shake people out of this and actually have them fight for the youth of this country for a change. And the last question I would ask him at about the 4 minute and 45-second mark was, how do you explain this to your children, what you're doing to fight pedophilia when you sit here and do nothing? And what would you do if this was your child or your grandchild? Would you sit here and do nothing like you're doing now because it ain't your kid? Okay? That's what they, every single time they get up in front of Congress, that's what they should be talking about. Nothing but the pedophiles. Oops. Sorry. We're not even allowed to say that. The pedos. Okay? This is just my opinion as a bitter old queen, and you know what they say about opinions. Okay, everyone's got one. Okay. So, in other news, though, one of the things that has bothered me about my neighborhood here is the FDR and the condition of the FDR. It's pathetic. Okay. My thumbnail is of the FDR. Okay. And I have put some pics in my posts too of the FDR, and this is right down here by 34th Street. Okay, the condition of it is a perfect example of the institutional rot of our government, okay, and late stage capitalism, because that's what we're at. There are no excuses for this highway to be in this condition where it looks as if it is literally going to fall down. And it looks like it was barely strong enough when it was built, okay? It's funny because when I was talking about this, my partner reminded me of the West Side Highway, so I went and I looked it up. A section of the West Side Highway fell down in 1973. Okay, now the remnants of it were still here when I was here, but they didn't start tearing it down then until 1977, and it took till 89 to tear down the West Side Highway. That was 12 years to tear down the structure. Okay, I hope we're not going back to those times, people. Come on, okay? This FDR is in my district and it affects my life, okay? Because I would like to have a nice roadway and I don't want this thing to fall down someday, okay? If there are any issues in your neighborhood that you should shine a spotlight on, and maybe somehow we could make our candidates aware of the real problems here, even if we can somehow find a way to communicate with them, okay? Maybe you could do the same thing, okay? Anyway, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and do all those other things. And, I also have podcasts and all that kind of stuff. So thank you for coming to court. You've been dismissed. Have a great night. Okay. Bye bye.